Hi, Josh.
Hi, Melanie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
How you
I'm
doing?
excited to be joining you.
I'm excited too. We've been talking about this for a couple weeks, so we finally are back together.
Absolutely. And, I love it because we've just gone back and forth so much over so many different things,
I know,
whether we were working together or not over the years. So
I
to be able
know.
to kind of formalize it is really cool.
And I love that now we can actually not just are we Facebook friends and we're also connected on LinkedIn, but now we actually can work together on a regular basis, which I also love.
Yes, and I missed so much
I know.
in our little gap there.
So it's the story of how we met is very funny considering our current situation where I am working at a dealer group and you are currently working as a consultant.
Correct. Yeah.
So
So,
when we met was when you were at a dealer group and I was working in business development for a tech company. And it's almost as
yes.
if like the roles have reversed.
The roles have certainly reversed, and it's interesting, but I love it. I love seeing you thrive in your role, and the
Thank you.
things that you do with your group are amazing. So it's really interesting. I was in school, I was in college, and um, I needed essentially just part-time work in order to have spending money. So 20-year-old me wandered into a dealership one day, and I was like, hey, do you have work for me? And they were like, sure, so you can throw on this red jacket and you can go over there and park those cars. And so I did that, and as I was spending, in a role like that, you get to see a lot of things, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
you're running everyone's errands. You're kind of, you're the first one to get there, you're the last person to leave. And I was really getting to know like the entire business, and I found myself really interested with it, so I stuck with it. And I was working for the large dealer group. The dealership that I was working in was the largest dealership in the group. So I continued to move up there and found myself eventually as a BDC manager. And I mean, the opportunity was great. It was a lot of really positive exposure. It was one of the top 20 dealers in their brand nationally. So, just getting to meet a lot of different new people and learn a lot of different new things on the marketing side,
Yeah.
on the management side, even with regard to selling cars itself, just so many different things to learn. Um, I flourished with it, and so I wound up managing digital for that group,
Wow.
and that's when we met.
And how many brands were there in the group?
So there were 10 brands and 16 rooftops when I was there.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yes.
That'll
And
keep you busy.
so it was quite an undertaking, but I was used to during that time in my life I was working, 12-hour days almost every day, 6 days a week, you know,
That'll wear you
pedal
out.
to the metal, no time to stop. And I don't know how I did it, but I loved it. And
You just
so
do
yeah.
it.
And so we met because you were working with a tech company that we had, engaged with.
Mhm.
Once I got into my role managing
And we were
digital for that
forever
group,
friends after that.
and literally forever friends after that. And so, yeah, here we are. Things have changed. I kind of took everything that I learned from within the dealer group and said, I want to be able to share this information with more people, because one of the things that I noticed, as I was kind of coming up, was that there are not always a ton of resources that are available in the way that you need them, right? There isn't always someone to sit next to you and walk you through something. That person is not always available. And so my thought was, I want to be that person. I want to try and do that. And Lexus was that for me. So I'm now able to be that person that can go in and spend an entire day or an entire week with a dealership, with their management team, and exchange ideas really, and figure out a way to make things work.
And what's so ironic about you wanting to help other dealers and show hospitality in a way is that part of the Japanese culture has this phrase called omotenashi, which is
Right.
their form of hospitality. So you were ready for Lexus even before Lexus was ready for you.
Yes, I guess I was born with the omotenashi deep
Yeah.
down in my heart because, and it has really helped in my role because kind of just going into it, the whole idea of omotenashi is also my job. So, and really almost everyone in Lexus, I see it embodied in so many different ways. And, you know, the other philosophy of Kaizen, always improving,
I love
which is
that.
another Japanese philosophy, is just, you know, ripe within our company and every dealership that I go into, I'm always seeing that. So
Absolutely. So when you were working at the dealer group, you had a team of people that worked for you and that you worked with. Tell me a little bit about building a team and teamwork and how that really has impacted what you're doing now.
absolutely. So I can tell you that on my very first day managing another human, I walked into work and and I was told that everybody had quit and that there
Oh
was nobody
no.
left. So I literally had to build a team from scratch. And so these are, you know, people that I was able to kind of handpick on my own. You know, I worked with one person who had come up with me
Mhm.
and others that I had hired. And, you know, I actually had a moment the other day because there was a person that I had hired maybe like 4 or 5 years ago at one of the stores that I was working at. And I remember sitting down to interview her and being terrified because she was one of the first people that I was interviewing. And she was also probably terrified because, you know, job interview. And I asked her, you know, what are your goals? You know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are you working on? You know, how do you plan on improving yourself? What are you looking for? And she said to me, you know, I'm going to Rutgers and I'm in school and I'm studying criminal justice and I really want to get it done. But, you know, I help my parents with money. And so I need to be able to work while I do that. And so
Wow.
I really am good with splitting my time 50-50. And I remember at the time I felt a little bit apprehensive about hiring her, but my gut told me to. So I did. And she just graduated this year with her bachelor's degree from Rutgers. So I had a little bit of a moment there. But I think the most important thing when it comes to building your team is having kind of a common goal with your people. So, you know, always keeping your ear to the ground with them to figure out what their motivation is and what it is that they're looking to do for themselves and making that your goal as well. Because if they see that you're invested in their goals, they're going to be invested in your goals and you guys are going to do great things together. So that is like number one hallmark for me is just helping, you know, even if it is completely unrelated to, you know, the business need at hand, being able to help and kind of be like big brother
Mhm.
to anybody that's on my team that I work with that I manage is like the most important.
So how does working with a team and working on a team, how did that kind of transcend to what you're doing today with Shift?
So I work on a team now. So I work with you know, the district managers and district digital product field managers in the Lexus Eastern area. But in addition to that, every day that we're in a dealership, we're interacting with people that are on a team. We're interacting with team managers, team leaders. And so one of the things that I love to do is I love to sit down with each and every person that I'm meeting with and just figure out, you know, what is it that they do there? How is it that they get it done? How do they feel about being on that team? And then, you know, finding a way to bring that back into whether it's in my recap or in a later conversation to ensure that everybody is building these teams and that everybody in the dealership is working towards a common goal and that it's not just so siloed off and everybody's working on their own thing. Um, One thing I have to say is that with Lexus specifically, the teamwork is in the dealerships is just incredible. I mean, everybody that I've met in almost every dealership is usually so very happy.
Yeah.
And it's almost something that you don't come to expect in automotive.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's an
when
awesome
you
brand.
when you take into consideration, 12-hour days, dealing with clients, being outside in the heat and in the winter, not seeing your kids and your family, I, the brand has just such good loyalty among the consumers and the staff. Everybody that I've met is just so invested.
And the cars
It's
are
really
great
amazing to see.
too.
Yeah, the product is amazing too.
That is true. So, what are some of the differences that you've noticed since you've been at Shift that, some things that might have surprised you along the way that maybe you weren't expecting to pop up, as we've experienced as a country, different events and so on and so forth?
Right. So thinking about things at scale was definitely a challenge in the beginning for me, just because, I was thinking at the scale of a dealer group, you know, 15 to 20 dealerships,
Which is still a lot.
a lot. But when you go from 15 to 20 and you triple it and you now have 60, 65
Right.
dealerships, there are things that take place that can affect the business that may not have affected you before. So if you take into consideration, the onset of COVID-19,
Mm-hmm.
and how is it that we can try and solve issues for our dealerships at scale remotely?
Right.
None of us are really permitted to travel. In addition to that, in light of the current events that are happening right now with regard to, George Floyd and Minneapolis and all of the protesting and stuff that's taking place, how is it that we can advise, our business partners, our dealerships, um, to maintain their business and also take care of their community?
Right.
And so I think finally having the scale to be able to bring these ideas to the table, I've realized that I can actually make a lot bigger of a difference now than I ever could before. And it's really exciting.
I love that. That's awesome. So you had shared something with me prior to us talking on our aha moment about
Right.
what your company is doing in response to what's happening in the country right now.
Right. And so we received a letter from our Shift CEO, and it was just really heartfelt, really genuine. He, gave us his feelings as to how everything was going on. And he really just wanted us to know that he was standing with us and that, we want to be on the right side of history. But I think the best thing that he did was that he included so many resources of ways that we can help, whether that's donating, movies that we can watch, books that we can read,
Wow.
ways that we can volunteer, and to take the time, as someone who may be even less affected by it, to take the time to put all of that together and to share his feelings with us, I think is an amazing example of leadership.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely an amazing example of leadership. That's incredible. I mean, just acknowledging it is showing an example of leadership, but to be able to put it out there to the entire company and have so much information followed up with
Right.
the acknowledgement is huge.
Right. Yeah, and it wasn't like, like an HR stunt either. This was from him, clearly written by him. He even mentioned that it was an unedited communication, which just adds to how genuine it was.
That's really great. So if you were a Lexus dealer right now and you were watching this and you had, one tip for them that they could do right now with their marketing presence, with everything that's going on, taking into account what happened with George Floyd, taking into account with COVID, all of that, what would that one golden nugget be that you would have for them, Josh?
So what I would say is, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. All of the Lexus dealerships I know are always putting their community first and thinking about things that they can do to make their customers feel like a guest in their home.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that they do every day. We have this initiative in Lexus called Inspire Amazing, and our dealerships are inspiring amazing every day. But with regard to the marketing presence, if you're doing all these things and you're not telling anyone about it, did you even do it?
Hmm.
Make sure that you are getting all of your information out there. Take photos of everything, put it up on your site. Make sure that all of your online presence, whether it's your Google My Business or your Bing listing, make sure everything is up to date and make it easy for guests to find out how great you guys really are.
I love that. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what would be the best way to reach you?
So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Joshua Wiggins on LinkedIn. And I respond to everything there.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. This was so fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I
We
really
got to
appreciate
connect.
it. It was an aha moment.
It was. Uh-huh.